Okay, you should be good to go.
Yeah, okay. It is 6:35, so I'm officially going to call this evening's meeting to order.
Just waiting. I don't see Emily in yet. I just see us.
Okay,
So I'm just waiting to see.
I just emailed it to her, so it may take her
Oh,
a
wait a
sec.
minute. Okay, there she is.
Oh, hi,
Here's
Emily.
There she
Oh.
is. So she's joining. There she is.
Hi, Emily.
Now you have a call.
Right now.
Yeah, now we're good.
That's perfect. Emily, we're glad to have you joining us and that you're feeling okay enough to listen in. First up on our agenda is public comment. There's no one else virtually. There's
No,
nobody else in
just the
person.
two, yeah.
We can move right on from that. Third agenda item is approval of minutes from our April 1st special meeting. It ended up being a special meeting because we canceled the one the week before because we didn't have enough for a quorum. Can I get a motion to approve the special meeting minutes?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Beautiful. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Emily, can you just indicate, even if you want to text me, whether or not you're in agreement with approving those minutes? Beautiful. So those are now approved. Emily, if you want, I'll take off the draft on them and send them to the town clerk. That way you don't have to worry about doing that. So we'll take care of that piece. Okay, next up is to talk about policies and procedures. So Nicole, I'm going to turn it over to you a little bit. I had emailed out to everybody the draft policy and procedures that Nicole has been working on. So wanted to just spend a little bit of time talking through those. There were some things that were still in draft. Those were green on the color copy. So anything specific?
So I guess I took a bunch of different, obviously camp policies and procedures, including some of the stuff that you guys did, and I put it all into one booklet. I tried to make it a little fancy in the beginning, and then it started getting difficult, so I changed it around. I went through it, and there are some things that I obviously know that I have to fill in, because we're waiting on the cell phone numbers and stuff like that, that I would like to include in this.
Yeah.
But pretty much, it has everything I think we need in it.
Okay.
Check in and check out, which obviously, once I get some staff in here, we'll figure out how we're gonna do it. And there might be like an addendum to it, but, refunds, financials, just put a little blurb about registration, even though it's going on right now. I try to make it look so like the important stuff are up on top that the parents really need to know, and then if they wanna read more, because we know as parents, it's really hard to get through everything sometimes, but what to bring to camp, what not to bring to camp. What will happen if you don't follow the rules, at camp. I may switch the contact information to the front, so that if parents have to get in contact with us, it'll be easily found. Communication, weather policies, illness policies. It's pretty basic. First aid, I want to include in a section you'll see with just that, there's a box that just says nurse. I want to get more information about the nurse and what the phone number is and where the nurse is going to be located.
Perfect.
So, which is probably, we're gonna put in a nurse's office next door. And then first aid stuff. You'll see a recreation cash program. Like, I didn't look at that at all, but I only left there because I do want to do some kind of program with the kids where they get rewarded for good behavior. Kind of like what they do at the school with applause.
Absolutely. Yeah. Where they can like earn different incentives or treats or things like that.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then, I mean, I think the most important thing, if you guys want to go line by line, is the code of conduct.
Yep. That's where I want to start there. Does anybody have any questions about any of the pieces? We did find, Nicole found pretty early on the tablets. that somebody had told us about, like that had been in existence before. So we can check to see, maybe that's something we can do for pickup and
Yeah. And
drop off, if those actually still function. It's hard to say like how old they are, but
I did go to the camp meeting yesterday, with the,
CRPA, I always say they're wrong.
yes. And, they did, a few towns did say they tried to use them, but it was very difficult to
Okay.
use.
Yeah,
So.
Sorry, tablets for like a check-in, you mean?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
difficult because tablet or difficult because of my rec,
I think it's both,
right? Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
So I'm going to the directors meeting tomorrow, so I'm gonna ask some of those questions.
yeah, I worry just because like, they're like Kindle, I think they were like 7s, which are like old now, I think we're on 11.
yeah,
So like, I worry just that like, they may not even be able to update enough to do anything, but if we can't use it, something like that for this year, we could do like old school paper pencil, that works
Mhm.
just as well. And it's something we could always explore for the future,
Right,
okay.
so I don't know if you wanted, if we just read it silently and then if anyone has questions or. Fine.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter to me, wanna just take a second and look over the code of conduct and then we can talk through it a little bit?
I think too, we have to decide, is it gonna be a peanut-free zone? You know, if it wasn't passed,
I don't even think the school is, so I would,
no, I don't think.
no, and honestly, I mean, my belief on that is anybody.
It was not, yeah, I was gonna say, I don't
Yeah.
remember it
Thank you.
being.
Yeah, and actually BCS is not even a peanut-free zone, so
Yeah,
I
they
feel
have
like,
peanut-free tables,
right, and I think
Um,
that's how we should probably stick with it.
Okay,
yeah,
Yeah, as long as the staff's aware and the kids
Yeah.
are mindful, I'm like,
right,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say typically schools do like a peanut, like if there's an allergy in the specific classrooms, like in that age group, they will sometimes make that like kind of a peanut free to the extent possible.
Emily just. put up
And
another-
ask families to like look at snacks and stuff like that, but in the cafeteria, those kiddos typically sit at a different table.
Yeah.
I don't know, I
Yeah.
can't see that far away, what Emily.
And she basically
hold
said
on.
that BCS has a classroom for, apparently for the, like a peanut-free, if there's kids have allergies, but I know the school does not have like the full policy either, so.
Right.
This is peanut-free classroom, yeah, there is.
Yeah,
So basically in the room for the kids who have the allergies, that's a peanut-free zone.
yes, although even
Not
that,
the
because
cocaine.
the boys happen to be in a class this year, that is peanut free. And it's a suggestion, like if they bring something, they just like don't sit near the child. I think it's a little bit easier when they're school age, because they typically know about their allergy. And I think as long as we have like a very clear, like no food sharing policy.
Right.
Yeah,
so I have a question
Yeah.
on the participant code of conduct.
Yeah.
I will not, the last bullet. Do you think that is too extreme?
No, not today's society, no.
No.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, here.
Okay.
Yeah, give this to,
No, I don't think that's bad,
you know
I
what
don't
though?
either. It's better
The
safe
difference
than
is like
sorry.
this. There's
because if you don't.
there's a mandate that kids have to be
Yeah.
educated. There's not a mandate that kids could be in camp. And in fairness, I know of parents where in the previous camp, like, the kids were sent home. Like we can't deal with child A and they're gonna go home. So
Right,
I think that's reasonable. I mean, I think if there was anything like long term, like, oh, we're suspending them for the week, that might be a bit extreme. But like if it's, hey, parents have to come pick up their kids because the kids aren't behaving, that's reasonable.
yeah, that is for sure, but I'm talking about the I will not, and then the last
yeah,
bullet.
bring in appropriate items.
That's fine.
could we add something about like a cell phone policy, like kids
Yeah.
should be
Yeah.
recording? Although, like, I know we have the photo release, but that's for, staff.
So if you go to, and we can put it in here too.
No photo?
Places, but if. There's gonna be a no cell phone policy, so if the
Okay.
kids bring their cell phone out, it's. up to the nurse.
Right, but if it goes into the code of conduct, just so that.
Yeah, all right, I'll add. So,
Mhm.
Can I ask a question, being the devil's advocate here? You know, you have here that use derogatory terms and offensive language. I may think it is, but you may not. So how are you going to define that? Where is that line gonna cross?
Good question.
Right? Because some kids will say, hey, my parents speak like this at home all the time, you know, and it's okay. So where's the line?
I mean, even if we just put like offensive language and then in parentheses like curses.
Yeah, just to define it a little bit.
Or even if we say, you know, whatever that's deemed inappropriate, the kid gets a warning.
Right.
And then, you know, and now it's deemed inappropriate. I think
Yeah.
that would be reasonable, you know, like as long
To
as
make
somebody's
them
telling them,
aware
hey,
that it's
this
not
is
acceptable
inappropriate, and after
language.
this.
Yeah,
You'll be, I think that makes sense because you're right, that brings up a great point. You know,
yeah,
kids might
because some
think-
will,
Interpretation.
exactly, you don't wanna leave anything for interpretation. Yeah.
Keep it at, like-
So that would be good, maybe just expand on that, just to say, hey, you need to. After a warning or something.
And I guess when the parents bring in the children or child for the first day, I guess there's gonna be an orientation with the parents? Is that
Well,
common?
we wanna have an open house, and I guess
And this
base
will
it
go out
off,
ahead of
yeah.
time. Yeah, so they have not typically done an orientation beforehand, and even when kids enter school, there isn't like a
There's
mandatory
no
orientation.
orientation,
No.
okay.
Mm-mm. You'll never get 100% participation, honestly. So like sending this home, requiring parents to like read it and sign off on it. But you'll never get everyone.
Okay,
I mean, that's a good thing to have a sign off
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
and have it collected and filed
correct,
in the
right.
office so
Yeah.
that.
And then
They
Nicole
can't
and I
say I
were talking about, like,
didn't
in
know.
subsequent years, when we're like way further ahead of ourselves.
Right.
This could also be something that like parents have to click off on when they're registering in life, like you have to accept all policies.
Yeah.
And then it's like one stop shopping done.
okay.
Yeah. So are we gonna strike out the like the peanuts one?
Sorry, that was in,
So-
oh, sure.
Yeah, cause that.
Yeah,
as
no,
long as we keep
definitely.
The sharing food, I will not share food.
Yeah,
I mean, that kind of covers that.
Yeah.
yeah, let's strike that out.
And you know they're gonna bring candy and soda.
I mean, it sounds like it might be a little hard to enforce. Yeah, we're not a supportive family so much, but I would say they'll definitely have like a, yeah. And that might also be like an incentive that they earn, depending on what you guys decide to do from like the, whatever you call them.
Yeah, see, if students do not meet the behavior expectation, parents gonna say, well, define that. I would, as a parent, what's your expectation? You know?
I mean, some of the books, they have like 5 sayings, like respect others and
Yeah,
make friends.
Mhm.
We could put like 5 bullet
Emily
points
has
up
a
here.
comment, just so you know.
yeah, can you, I literally.
Oh,
can't
it says, I hear you, but, oh, disappeared. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. I hear you, but I don't think,
Yeah,
why did part of it disappear? Hold on,
yeah, you can't get too specific.
Yeah.
Yeah,
get too specific there. Oh, that was the whole thing. I thought some of it got cut off. That's the whole thing.
Yeah,
The program has to have authority to determine what's derogatory or offensive.
mhm.
Offensive.
And some of that, I think, right, like is in consultation with like follow-up with families, like when you go to get your kid, if there was an issue, like having that collaborative conversation.
Yeah,
About like, hey, you know, X happened today.
Communication is key.
Yeah.
You know,
But it's nice that the parent understands the expectations of the program also
Right,
when signing up their child. You don't want all of a sudden them coming in, no offense to parents coming in and saying, I didn't know that. And it's not offensive to us, and all of a sudden now you're going into an argument, you know, situation.
I mean, I think as long as we leave room for a warning, that solves that, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, hey, this might be okay at home,
Yeah.
you swearing at whoever, but it's not okay here.
Yeah.
And I think that if we just put maybe something like that, I think that alleviates that and we're good.
and something that we might even feel that is appropriate, a kid might not feel appropriate, and then, you know, you have to enforce, like, this is making someone else feel
Right.
uncomfortable, so we can't say that.
Right. And I think, right, like developmentally, these are kids who are still learning all of it, right? So like somebody's gonna call somebody stupid.
Yeah.
That's gonna
Mhm.
happen.
Right.
Yeah,
And then it's talking about like, hey,
Yeah.
don't talk to one another. that way.
Yeah, siblings do.
Well,
that.
last night, the whole team was chanting chicken jockey, and all the coaches were like, are they like making fun of us?
Right, like what is that?
Like, what is
Right, what does that mean?
They don't even know what it
Right.
means, they just say it.
But right, some of it is helping them to kind of learn those expectations and how to self-regulate when they get upset so that they don't just call somebody stupid.
yeah. Okay.
Alright, so are we good with that page?
Thoroughly enjoy the parent conduct expectations. Especially the first two.
I hope that happens.
I hope so too. I honestly am just reflecting on your experience. I think they not in town and like, that's literally what we were talking about.
Just back on the previous page, if I choose not to follow the code of conduct, third, fourth bullet, it says, right to suspend any child from the program premise that are rules. Are those rules written and will the parents receive those?
I think,
Are these the
aren't these
rules?
the rules right here?
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about right here, this parent code of conduct.
Okay, maybe then change the rule to our code of conduct or something. So it's clear that we're talking about this. I have your seats in my car.
Wow.
Oh, those are mine. No, those are back
Is
in
it
mine.
yours?
Yeah, those
Okay,
are
I
mine.
haven't-
Thank you. I
haven't-
forgot about
okay,
this.
Sorry. He's looking.
Okay.
Take him.
Okay.
I came with
Okay.
my captures.
I'm not limited to.
I mean, if we just say to our policies instead of
Mhm.
our,
Oh, but you mean, we're still on that bullet?
based on the premise that our policies must be followed. Cause that's what this whole thing is, right? It's
Yeah.
basically,
Make it easier, so how much more on that first?
Under parent conduct expectations, under the last bullet where you have at the end, it says all town parks. I don't know if you just want to say all town premises.
That's
Because you call properties or
Yes.
whatever, because you could not
facility.
not be at a park,
Mhm.
but still be somewhere.
Mhm.
Yeah, like you could be over Peck Pond or something.
Yeah, all
And,
town property.
Yeah, any town properties.
Emily just texted me a good suggestion too, that we do like a footer at the bottom of the document, with just like last revised. Just so that
Keep it
like,
updated.
right, like
as
we
we
know
go.
every time we revise it.
That's a great idea.
Just because
Yeah.
it will be
They'll have a historical record of it every time you
correct.
do it.
Okay.
These things, honestly, I mean. Like honestly, like even the smoking, the weapons, this is just with state laws. I mean, I would just leave it to the state law and that's what's covering people. I mean, we shouldn't spell out what,
Mhm.
And that was
everything.
we this in the hoops policy?
Yeah.
I mean, that should just go by.
Change, that, the bullet where it starts with smoking, you may want to change that to, town properties at the end of that one. I
Yeah.
didn't realize it said
Yeah.
parks at the end of that one too.
Yeah.
Smoking of any kind.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would suggest that we
All
do
inclusive.
smoking,
Vaping,
drugs.
vaping, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're also not permitted, but like. Directly there, but if a parent shows up and they're like, smell alcohol in their breath, what's the procedure there?
Honestly, all you could do is call the police. There's
Yeah.
nothing that you
Yeah.
can legally do here.
I don't know. if it
But I
was
mean,
So that's why
required.
some of
in that
these,
case, yeah, in that case, it's,
that's why some of these things aren't really for us to enforce. Like
Mhm.
if there's any smoking is a perfect example, alcohol, like there's nothing we're gonna really realistically be able to do with those.
Yeah, but you
But it-
wouldn't
but it
like-
makes
send
them
the kid
aware
home,
of-
yeah.
I mean, I'm aware, but I mean,
You can't like, as a mandated reporter, you can't release a child to a parent who appears intoxicated.
right, but you have to call the police. You can't say like, well, I'm not, you have to.
Is it the grandmother or somebody was intoxicated and had the child in the car, got picked up from daycare or something? That happened within the last month?
I mean,
or
it
so
happens,
somewhere.
it does happen, but
Right, yeah.
I mean, the final decision on that won't really be ours.
So yeah, the one from Hoops just said, alcoholic beverages are not permitted at park and rec activities. No coach or other volunteer shall participate, including practices and games while under the influence of alcohol or drugs.
And we did put up a couple of other comments. I believe that was Attorney Marino's suggestion,
Yeah.
and I'm not quite sure
Yeah.
where that came into the conversation. That's covered in mandated reporter training. It has to do with whether we think the child is in danger or not.
Correct. Yeah, that's to do with like the
Okay.
Mhm.
alcohol, drugs thing when they pick up.
Safety first.
We like putting out anything on, so we have the campers, we have the parents, are we put anything on like a staff code of conduct? Or is
It'll be
that-
a total different.
But that won't be like
Yeah.
disseminated, or is that,
Say that?
is that gonna be posted somewhere?
Yeah,
I mean,
I haven't
okay.
started it yet.
Oh, okay,
Actually, I'm hoping tomorrow I could steal someone's.
Right.
well, that's kind of what we
Pick their
use,
brain.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
pick their
we've had all
brain, yeah.
three of those things. in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's
It's probably a lot of the
best-
same stuff.
the best piece for sure.
I mean, some of the books that I printed from other towns, they're like books.
Yeah.
CYA,
Some of them are long. Yeah. Any other thoughts or suggestions on that section? The kind of code
oh,
of conduct,
this page back.
yeah, those 2 pages.
The mandated reporting, I'm a little, I don't understand. It says is legally required or mandated. Is that a case where it could be legally required or mandated? I don't.
Yeah, it's just
understand that.
notifying people. It's the same thing like if you go to a pediatrician or things like that. like,
Right.
You get little things, hey, we're mandated reporters, so you have no expectation of privacy if, you know, the little, whoever, a kid comes and says this happened at
Yeah, right.
home, you know, whatever, at that point, or they have signs of abuse. Now, you know, there's no expectation of privacy anymore, so they would, here's notifying them that it would be reported to DCF.
Okay, so the
Yeah,
Parks and
follow
Rec,
up.
is it legally required or mandated for the Parks and Recs to report that?
Same thing.
It's both?
Legally
Oh,
required
it's
is
the same thing?
mandated. Yeah, legally required or mandated, it's the same.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. It was like, what is, which one is it? Yeah, okay. Okay,
For the photo release, I have to double check, 'cause I think I put it on my rec, so I'll just make a note that says something about, this is. We did this, but it's spilled out on my rec.
yeah,
Something just.
but it's a paper form.
It
'cause I
is?
printed it, I actually have my voice. I'm gonna give them to you tonight, so.
So,
you can
so it's
open up
not
on
something
that
to check off on the,
I don't
site?
believe that it was.
Okay.
There was the waiver of liability that was a check off on the site, but the
Yes.
photo form was a
Was
download,
it a download?
yeah.
Oh, it was on one of the, it was like a part of one of the forms that I had, like.
Yeah. Yeah, the summer camp waiver and release of
Yes.
liability form
Yes,
had
that's
the
what
I
it is.
accept
Yeah.
and like the medical piece.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm just gonna think, I didn't know that.
right,
Well, might not have, haven't.
I mean, it's probably not a bad idea, yeah.
Actually, I just got a photo release permission slip today, where I'm taking my kids on a field trip to Yale Art Gallery, and they're like, if we take pictures of our kids, but we won't put their name. Like their name won't be attached to the pictures, just so like,
Right,
they won't be posted, so I don't know if we wanna mention that, or. Like, it won't say, here's John Smith.
mm-hmm. Right, we could just like add a sentence after that first one, like. Like student identifying information won't
Yeah,
be used.
campers.
Right. That's a good idea.
Those were comments.
Yeah.
And then this is just kind of, I didn't clean this part up yet.
The little box.
Yeah,
Yep.
so whatever, I'm gonna still keep it,
Mhm.
whatever forms are on. Myra,
Mm-hmm.
but I know I still have forms to make, like I didn't do a field trip for you, or if you decided to do a field trip. Um,
So-
T-shirt size like is on my rack.
But didn't have shoe size.
I don't think. we need to.
Are we doing t-shirts?
That was one of my questions to you guys. Did we used to do them in past? I
Oh,
don't
maybe
like
my
to
kids
do
ever
them.
get it, that'd be
Yeah, they
cool,
didn't, but,
especially if we're going on field trips.
right, the school does do shirts for field trip days.
Okay.
That they require the kids to wear on field trip days, because then it's easier to like see them.
Something bright.
Right.
I mean, the staff had t-shirts, you probably found bins of them in the closet when you were,
Oh, yes, I did.
from years past.
They was-
The staff had
There's
t-shirts,
all
so you would
different
know
colors.
who the counselors were.
Right. Don't know that those were consistently worn, would be my thinking, but I don't remember them, I don't remember ever noticing that.
Mhm.
That's true.
Yeah. So, and I was gonna say, the way the school does it is they actually keep the t-shirts. And they just get washed,
Oh, really?
yeah, so it's not like a kid specific shirt, so I mean, obviously, if they were gonna wear it every day to camp.
Right.
But for field trips, that's what they do, they have just like class sets of t-shirts by color. So
Yeah, that's gonna be, that'd be tough. You'd have to get multiple shirts, cause I mean, what do you have to
And
wash it
different
every
sizes.
single day?
Yeah, that
If
would
we were
only
gonna,
be if
if we
you're
were
going
with the
off.
kids.
off
No, no,
campus.
no.
Oh, yeah, for off
I mean,
campus, that makes sense, but
We used to give shirts all the time at the J.
Right,
I think they just do it for field trips now, but it would be nice, like, if we did have them
Right.
here, but then we have to give more than one shirt, it gets expensive.
yeah.
correct, right. Maybe if we just thought about for field trips,
Yeah,
right,
And do we have any plans? I didn't think there was any plans for field trips for this current year, is there? I mean, it's up to you, I
kind of
don't know.
up in
if
the
we-
area now, I
Yeah.
think it's gonna depend on Veterans Park if we decide to go there or not. But it would be nice to do a field trip here.
I mean, if you don't wanna get specific t-shirts, if you do a color. Like if some group is going on a field trip and you say, okay, we're going on this field trip on Friday, everybody's gotta wear a blue t-shirt. Or something, so that everybody's in the same color,
right,
but it may not necessarily say Bethany Park and Rec on it, but at least you're identifying them as. Blue shirts or orange shirts or whatever, you know what I
Whatever
mean,
the color
just
is.
whatever color you decide.
But it is a good marketing piece if we can get.
I was just gonna say, and the kids
Well,
would
that's true, too,
think
it'd be an
that's cool.
advertisement of
Yeah.
walking around with the name on it, sure,
right.
Yeah,
sure.
we will go.
We just don't
I was
wanna,
gonna say, if we get that logo contest up and going.
Exactly.
I'll work on that.
so this box here will be part of a heading saying registration, right? It's not part of the photo release, the box. Yeah,
This box?
yeah,
The checklist,
yeah, the checklist, you're gonna have, you know, it's not part of the release heading, right?
No, no.
Okay.
What I may do is switch the custody, this custody matter should probably be somewhere else, actually.
And on this checklist, do you list this?
Maybe a
Sign
regular
copy of
parent
it?
conduct
Yeah, I
expectation.
think that's where I'm gonna put it. So this is gonna be moved to,
or you may want to have it in both places just to make sure that it's
Right,
covered.
wants it.
Sometimes it's also, just this is my email percentage suggestion, just list all the stuff alphabetically. You know what I mean? Cause it's like, then you debate
You
with
don't have
yourself,
to
like, is
prioritize.
this more important? Like, so if you just do it all alphabetically. And then electronically, cause we can post this through my rec, you can click on each and have it linked to that page. I was just like, that's what we did with the peach ones, cause I think we were starting to debate with like, what comes first, you know,
Yeah.
what things come first.
That's what we did.
But that's the trick, that's the tricky part. But I do love the custody matters piece, and Jamie will be like over the moon, because that's a big thing. So it should be very fun.
Or we can also. Do the sections.
Right, like kind of topics.
Yeah.
That makes sense too.
And then this will kind of, the camp registration checklist will kind of be last.
Yeah.
I might put it on the same page as this. If I can get photo release, if I can get it to go all fit on one
Yeah.
page. And then the checkbox with the signature page
Mhm.
all together. So then whether we use it as a form to be like, okay, we have all this kids forms, we're
Yeah.
good, folder goes away and file.
Yeah.
And we're done.
In the sign off piece,
Hmm.
do you want to add something about, like, I have reviewed these expectations with my child?
Yes. You know what I'll do is I have it up here and I'll just move it over here.
Yep.
And then also you
I
have.
mean, that's
this
kind of at the
big
bottom.
form here.
Like now as I've read and agreed all information,
Right.
and the code of conduct of me and my child will be attending the camp.
Right, but it doesn't say like you have to review, like, right, like you could just never even talk to your kid about this and just sign it. I was thinking, like the hoops one. You made the kid sign it.
I thought.
it does here
I
too,
did
doesn't
it?
think- I did.
Oh.
think about that.
They're awful. Signatures for.
I was
Instead
thinking
of print.
But let's do it.
Yeah, I think
I
that's a
think
great
it's
idea.
teaching them responsibility
Absolutely, right,
too.
through the expectations,
Just blindly sign your names.
right,
Actually have them sign it and print it.
right,
Nah, it's the same thing.
yeah,
Same
exactly,
idea.
especially for your little.
When do they have cursive? What
Yeah.
grade did they do cursive?
They don't anymore.
I think they're bringing it back.
Oh, are
Yeah.
they? Oh, yeah.
Their new ELA curriculum is part of,
Good.
yeah, I think it's in third.
Ooh, I can't read it.
Yeah. And then we could just say, like, I acknowledge I've read and agreed to all of the information in the handbook and understand the code of conduct. Because then it's like parent science, kid science.
Right,
yeah.
Yeah,
And that is listed under checklist to have this forms.
Yeah.
Included, right?
We're gonna take out some of that last.
yeah, I think if you change just like. And understand the code of conduct, you could take out of me and my child who will be attending the camp. Then you could do camper. Signature. Mhm.
And obviously the photos have to be changed.
Yeah, but. We'll get there. Love the themes.
What is it? I thought I saw June 18th to 22nd, I saw basketball.
That was on the original. I took it out.
Oh, okay.
But I have, so some of them aren't done, so the ones that are bright,
Like the bolded.
molded ones are
Oh,
ones that we definitely wanna do. The
Okay.
ones that are not are ones that I wanna figure out what to do,
Mhm.
Mhm.
so. But I also would like to know who's gonna be
Right, like
with
you've
me,
got-
so they can have some say in it too, I don't.
Right, and especially like, right, if you've got like a counselor that's got like a real like love of something specific, then you could incorporate that, right, which is like a nice idea too.
And, I mean, there's a lot of little things I found that have to be changed. Obviously.
It'll come with that. But we're also not running June 18th to the 22nd,
Yeah, right,
Yeah, because it starts June 30th, correct?
right?
so on this one, it's changed.
Yes, I was gonna say, yeah, but that's where you saw it.
Yes. yeah.
Right, but that's why, so maybe we can see that in a later week if you want to.
I would
And then
love to
just
do a
my,
basketball league, you know?
A lot of the kids I bet would like that too, yeah.
Well, that's actually, we'll talk about that later. That was a big. One of the things everybody wanted was
Right,
like
was more,
more.
Yeah,
I would love to be able to get someone in here and do like a mini camp. Yeah, for basketball.
I'm just, my administrative grouping thing just popped in. We're gonna have a hyphen in here.
I wonder,
No space
what
there,
if we did
no
like a
space
sports
there.
week?
See how that space is
Well,
on
that's-
each
Yeah, it's
side?
the way that.
July
it's the
28th.
format. I was telling Jen, I was
Yeah,
having
it's
trouble
going
with
Recreation,
from-
sports.
Sports, right?
So, but there was one
So shoot
there.
between one of those and then bumps one of the ones to the,
Yeah,
right?
I
think it has one side.
Okay,
Yeah.
like I said, I, like,
I-
reader.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm kicking myself somewhat for doing it in this format, because the format was really difficult.
Right.
Like trying to get things to realign and.
Yeah.
What can you help?
Yeah, then
Sometimes simple is better.
ideally, if we could have a costume day, because I'm still hearing about missing it last year.
Halloween?
How, yeah, they did like a Halloween.
Day week.
No, there was like a Halloween where kids were
They
able to
might
wear a
have done both of
costume.
them.
yeah, like
Actually.
Spirit Week.
Right, I feel like they did like a holiday
that?
week, because I remember. when-
Maybe. Oh, maybe it was the
remember
whole
the
week and then
Christmas
one
thing,
was
they
like,
had to go trick or treating, but then I feel like there was like an Easter day and there was a Christmas.
well, there
day.
might have been. That might
You
have,
got the blow ups.
Superhero too, right?
Right.
yeah,
Princess.
but I've already
Right.
been told that multiple times. I
Right.
missed it last year. It was-
Exactly. Right.
Well, within some of these, then there'll be certain, like, smaller themes.
Yeah.
Obviously, too.
Right, but I think it's nice to give families like an idea of like the whole kind of week will be.
No, that's great the way it's like that, just so you have a,
Right.
And I'm not.
You
gonna
get
call
where
it
it's going.
color word, color challenge or something. Who knows if you can even use it.
I think you can use wars. We still call things wars.
We're loose enough here that you can find it away.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah.
If anybody gives us, if anybody calls us a hard time about calling it color wars.
And we just
we'll
popped
deal.
up again, yes, there was a holiday week and the Christmas trees were still in some of the classrooms when Eric, Pat and I toured the annex. Oh, I love the idea of a color challenge.
What about color wars?
I like
Do you like
that.
color
I
wars?
like color challenge.
I like color wars.
Where your situation, I know, or yes, you would.
I like color wars.
I like challenge. We don't need to teach
Play
these
rock,
kids
paper,
this stuff
scissors,
Yeah.
shoot.
too little.
Which name are we gonna use?
Exactly, right.
And then, hello and welcome to the Bethany Parks. Is that correct?
Oh, Parks and Recreation,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, I've seen it both.
No, I thought it was Park and Rec, isn't it?
Parks and
Park.
Recreation.
I mean, as long as it's consistent, because then on top of the
Park
town
and
of Bethany
Recreation.
Department of Recreation and Parks.
And then,
Because in the other document, it's parks.
then it should
Right,
be
as long as we
Director
just
of
pick one
Parks and Recreation on the
Keep
bottom.
using it.
Yeah.
We are
Switch
Parks
it.
and
Park,
Recreation.
New York
officially.
Parks, yeah.
Yeah.
And then your
under your
title,
title.
under your title
Yeah,
too,
she
is
got it.
Director of Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
It's a cool-
We're adding S's.
Find and replace.
I mean, I don't think there's more and more we go through it.
Yeah.
Now on the, did somebody did mention the very top? I see your arrow there, so switching it to
Yes,
this.
yeah.
Parks and Recreation, okay.
Yeah, and then under your title, that's
Yeah, here,
Got that.
title here and title page 2. Heading, header.
Any,
Yeah, that's a message.
Just say something prepared for summer. Question mark. Is it with you?
On the school,
You know,
which one?
What's that? Where are you looking?
Where?
like, cause of many youths.
Youths, where is it? Which one?
And in fact, summer program, camp program review. I saw youth and I'm thinking youths.
Oh.
Working,
Sorry.
working with you. Working with you.
what were you
Youths.
thinking?
Yeah, exactly. What to say? Sorry. Our team of staff members are certified.
One suggestion I would have would be to add like an emergency plan, like about fire drills and stuff
Mm.
like that. I don't know that historically that was something, but that is something that's in the OEC guidelines.
good for hoops too.
Yes, and we did have it in hoops.
No, see.
Yeah. You want me to just
I'm
copy and
right here.
paste
Oh,
too? I'll send you the, I'll like just email you that lingo.
do I have it in Word?
I think it's a Google Doc,
Okay.
because we did everything in Google Doc, so you
So
can,
emergency.
yeah, but I'll email you the lingo if you want to use that, just because it was
Sure.
approved already.
Yeah. I'll do that.
we talked about a fire emergency or evacuation and then lockdown.
Yes.
Can I ask a question? I don't know how far you were, where it says late pickup fee. It says, repeated late pickups could result in dismissal from the program, not of the program.
Yeah.
Would it be from instead of?
Yep.
Could result in a dismissal from the program.
Are we doing the whole, are we nitpicking everything? Cause I have a couple things I just didn't wanna. I don't know.
You can-
Are we doing
yeah.
everything?
Well, I mean, there's stuff that I picked up on
So
too.
like under the check-in and check-out,
Yeah.
Bethany Park and Recreation Department will provide 8 weeks of summer camp beginning,
Yeah.
and then there will be
Wait,
no.
in and out. Where's?
Second
up
line,
here?
second line.
First.
And then please note, there will be no aftercare of July 3rd.
Yeah, I had that, and I'm gonna put no in bold. And
Yeah, I would do that whole thing in bold.
Like, I think I was gonna take out and check-in procedures. If your child has a high temperature or any other signs of illness, they will not be able to attend. I was gonna take that out of there because I think that was more
We're
like,
not checking their foreheads
Yeah,
every
yeah,
morning.
like I was during the COVID time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Your kid's sick, keep them home, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And right, like I was gonna say, if a kid appears sick, the nurse can check them and then.
Yeah.
And then, I mean. I know there's stuff that I still have to approve and change, but under medication, there's stuff that it's like staff will not administer medication. That's all gonna be changed and it will be the camp nurse.
Right.
The one thing I noticed, there was something about the sunscreen. In the past, there was a permission slip, so, you know, I know we're being cautious, but I do feel like that's important. Like the kids should have assistance putting sunscreen on.
Yeah.
You know, the young ones. I mean, obviously not the older ones, but
I need help, you put on your own.
I don't, but you know, I also don't burn, so for the most
Right.
part.
Job of
Oh, on
sunscreen
each other?
application on my back.
Yeah,
We were in Florida.
I can't find, I've been looking for that form.
I will
cannot.
find the sunscreen
Yeah,
application form because every school is required to have one.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
so I think we should, oh, is it? It may make sense. I think that we should keep
Yeah.
in here.
Yeah.
Because there's gonna be kids, no matter what, even if you apply it right beforehand, they're gonna need it again, especially if we do it late, you know, if we do it late, but it just seems to be in our
So one
side.
of those boxes, you ever see the boxes you stand in? And then it like sprays and it just like spins you around.
Right? Perfect.
Under the pickup procedures, was it just about that because it says the late fee after 3 o'clock, but then we have an after camp from 3 to 6.
When they pay for that.
If you're not in that program,
Right.
Okay,
But in other words, you can't stay there for free, like, oh, we'll just show up when we feel like
Mhm.
it and not pay for it.
but would that come into play even with the after?
Yeah, I think.
Program?
I think I need to add that.
I think it needs to relate to both.
Both.
because
Yeah.
You could have some, it could be 6 o'clock and you're standing there still
That's true.
waiting for a parent.
Yeah, that is true.
You know,
picked up prior to his or her designated pickup time.
Yeah, that's makes sense.
Yeah. So if it's 3 or 6.
Yeah.
Send you a sample on screen.
Jen, I sent you those from the YMCA. And from the tree where it has for the after school program and it has forms for the medication, talking about applying sunscreen. Do you, because I lost all my emails when I bought a new phone. I lost all my emails.
I don't know.
Suspect that I have
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, if you could forward to Nicole, because she may be able to cut and paste some
Right.
of that information.
Yeah,
They were really, I mean, those books were nice.
yeah,
Like if you don't have to reinvent the entire.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Just
right.
copy and paste.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, it's so much easier.
And I believe there was forms attached too, so,
Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't find any of my emails.
That's a shame.
Mm-hmm. You kidding? Lots of,
Did the phone company transfer it for you?
yes, they did.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Hmm?
I wonder if they have a way to retrieve it somehow.
No, they don't.
No?
No.
Are the schools still really can like COVID policies and stuff? Cause that's another thing, like I'm gonna go over this illness and stuff. Really talk.
I thought we've moved on from that now. I thought it was just sick in
It's been a
general.
bit, and I think most schools have also gone now to like the typical like 24 or 48 hour
Yeah, so
fever
I'm just gonna
free.
take the COVID stuff out.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I think you're probably okay.
This is a little bit contradicts, for me, it does. Here under registration, it says if you have a balance, your child will not be able to attend. And then on the bottom, there's a financial form that says that to make arrangements for payment. So
If you haven't made arrangements, you just show up expecting. That,
well, it says if you have a balance, your child will not be able to attend camp.
Well,
And your spot will be given up, but then on the financial form, it says on Monday morning at camp, if you have not paid for that week, you will need to make payment. Right? So we're not accepting, I
Well,
mean,
they
they
think-
need to pay
oh, okay.
completely in full,
Oh,
right?
yes, yeah.
Yeah, right?
The problem is, you know, what's gonna happen is that people are gonna show up Monday morning and
Yeah.
they didn't pay.
Yeah,
Right, you might not know right away.
Right,
yeah,
right.
okay, so they need to pay it fully in advance then, okay.
I do think like the note about like if you have a special circumstance, it makes
Right.
sense,
Mm.
like if there's something happening.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And I don't know, and for this year, like, we may not be able to do it, but moving forward, we had talked a little bit about, right, like if, let's say you registered for hoops. And somehow you ended up with an unpaid balance, like they were supposed to, everybody was supposed to pay for that this year, that actually did happen, but like. You have an outstanding balance, can we block you from registering for something else? I don't know if
Like
my
the
rec will do
system?
that.
Yeah.
It can,
Okay,
yeah.
so I was gonna do it
right,
for the camp
Yeah.
first this year.
yeah,
But he said it takes a little bit while to set it up,
okay,
so I just wanted to get camp.
I
up.
wholeheartedly
Yeah.
agree,
So
right,
he
No, I
said,
agree.
once you
In the
get to
future.
learn the system, then.
right, we can do that for the next one, like, we can do that for,
Because we need to plan,
like,
After
aftercare,
camp,
yeah,
we need to plan that.
yeah.
But I'm also gonna be on top of the list.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, cause you know who still owes and you'll
Yeah.
see who's registering, so you'll know to reach out and go,
Yeah.
Right.
that needs to be cleared
Right.
before,
Correct.
yeah.
So how does that late fee, how does that late pickup fee get paid? Does it have to be on my rec or,
Oh, if they pick their kid up late, the $10.
Mhm.
yeah, how do they pay that?
No problem. See, I gotta see if my rec, if we can just charge people.
Right, if you can build
I'm
on.
so used to our program at the J where we just charge it.
Right.
Cause
If
then
you're
you
late,
have
we
the
just-
charge card.
we
'cause
ding
you
your
have-
card.
yeah,
Right.
Cause they have a charge
Membership,
card on
yeah.
record.
Yeah,
Right. Well, most of our families probably will through my rec,
right. But I'm gonna ask.
cause like I
I'll
had to
ask
enter my
rec
credit card information to pay for summer camp.
Yeah, keep it on
But the
file.
question is it
Right,
retained? Is that information?
It
retained?
was.
It was.
Yeah,
It's a little
I don't know
file,
if I have
like,
the option to, I usually just say yes, cause I don't want to have to think about it again, but
Oh, yeah, but I'll find out.
yeah. Otherwise. I
If
mean, it
not,
could be
we'll
something
just
that
put
we-
it in.
Right, and then if they don't pay it,
Right. Then
Right.
we don't register for anything else.
correct, right,
We have someone at the GCC that was literally late every day and paid the fee. He didn't care.
he was like, I really just need you to be open till 5:45,
Yes.
right, so I'll just pay you $10, cause that's where I'm at. Which like at least you paid it, but also like I'm sure your staff wanted to go home.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit stinky. Okay.
Also, too, there might be some things that need to change here as far as the communication goes, because it would be nice if we can have some kind of system to communicate with parents.
Right.
They did discuss it a little bit yesterday at the camp meeting, but no one really was enthusiastic about any program they tried or used.
Okay.
So as opposed to just sending an email out, like having it
Right.
through my rec or something like that.
Yeah, or
something
on
like
your
that.
I
phone,
think Myrick has.
or
one, right?
WhatsApp.
I just want to bounce back quickly because I just saw Emily's thing here to bounce back. We were talking about COVID before. COVID tends to be lumped into the viral infection policies, like whatever they would do for flu is the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you,
pretty much where
Emily.
we've moved now, yeah.
Just wanted to make you aware because I literally just saw it there in front of me.
So Class Dojo is free. I just know that one because,
And you could do those points there.
and you could do points in it.
Oh, really?
Yep. So Class Dojo is a completely free one. And it has
I mean, what about like Seesaw, something that most of these parents
Seesaw's
already have?
pay.
Oh, that's not
Yeah,
fair.
and it's not cheap.
Oh,
Yeah. But Dojo like literally does the same exact thing. And you can send out like whole camp communication, individual parent communication, just a group of campers communication. You could post pictures.
Emily
You
says I
Yeah,
use
direction
Class
from the parents
Dojo.
to use that, right?
could just tell them that you're using
Or is
it.
that an app?
It's like
They
parent
have to
square, right?
download.
Emily
So
says
as
I,
long as they download it,
oh,
then you.
she
pretty
just
much
bumped
have
up with
to-
another one. I used Class Dojo when I was a public pre-K teacher, loved it.
Yeah, yeah. So like the boys teacher uses it from a behavior piece because she does like points through it. And then I
That's
use
what
it,
called, yeah.
yeah,
Dojo?
yeah.
Heard of it.
It's like this
No.
like weird little green monster dude.
Oh,
It's
he's almost like,
It's the noise that
Ninja
makes the
Turtles.
noise be like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
but then like you can literally,
People just.
no. But like you can assign points for like different reasons. So you could use it as like the cash if that was easier. I mean, the staff would have to put it on their notice.
Yeah.
In order to do it. But then there is like a texting feature through it as well, and like an email feature. So we could look into something like
My
that.
ref does have it too.
Oh, wait,
Yeah. It has a text picture.
okay,
It's possible that it can do it to my
Right.
ref. That'll be a question tomorrow.
right, yeah.
is there a reason why the refund policy is?
So anything that was highlighted in green, which is why it looks like that, and the copy was
Yeah.
stuff that was like still in draft form.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
so just,
because we need that.
yeah,
And obviously the phone numbers are missing because I'm debating,
Yeah.
because I don't have the cell phones, we can't get them working. So,
what's wrong with it?
well, one of them we can't get into, we don't have
Oh,
a passcode.
passcode.
And then the other two, for some reason, they have the same numbers. And when you call it, it goes right to the building, so I don't know if someone like
I'll call forwarded. maybe.
call forwarded it, so I haven't had time to really mess with them.
Yeah. Oh, is there like text? Like an IT here that
Well,
can,
it would be either Jen or Vinny would be the initial contact.
No,
for
who's the
questions like
kid who
that,
was
but-
setting up your computer that day?
Oh, was that Slava?
Hmm.
He wouldn't do phone, he wouldn't do the phones.
Yeah, Jen and Vin were looking at it today and they couldn't figure it out, but we didn't have much time,
right,
so. Said maybe tomorrow we try to work on it, again, but.
Emily just put up another thing. I would just want to think about how to train counselors or restrict who adds points. People who will be wise and developmentally appropriate with behavior rewards, punishments.
yeah, just like I think, cause you just said
Unit
me too.
heads, unit heads or.
Right, like
head
making sure that like,
counselor.
you know, people aren't just giving points like kind of arbitrarily or like, hey, I like you, so I'm gonna give you 12 points.
Exactly, giving out like it's
Right.
candy.
It's like when Snape used to take all the points from Gryffindor, it's messed up.
So question, would it be an app that you have children's names in this app and they're given points?
But only, the parent can only see their own child's.
Okay,
Yeah, so like teacher, counselor can see full class group, but as a parent, you log in, you only have access to your child.
Well, my brain is kind of
Yeah.
spinning here, because I'm thinking if it's their private phones and they have lists of kids on their phones. Is there?
I mean, teachers do it on their private phones, devices. That could actually be something we use a tablet for.
Um,
You could do it on a tablet.
I'm just
Because it's
concerned that
an
they
app,
have it
though.
on their private phone.
No,
It's a
but-
kid who has it on their private phone.
The only thing
Maybe
they
it's
have
not the
access.
kids that have it, it's just the administrators that have it.
Right.
You mean the
And-
kids by counselors or by
Yeah,
the
Like,
campers?
counselors.
the
Oh,
counselors can put something in writing every day, Johnny did,
Right,
good deed,
27.
Yeah.
you know, and then we just put it in.
Right, I'm just
Yeah,
kind of thinking that, you know,
right.
Limit.
You could do it on
Yeah.
the tablets potentially, which then stay
right
here,
there's right, right.
if we could load it on tablet. Yeah. Um,
Is that a you know what? I guess she's looking for volunteers. She threw, she gave
Like, no
this to me.
pressure.
Volunteers
Do you
needed.
have a special talent? Like, what is it you-
Oh, I have lots of special talents. Knitting.
Listen, you can do a knitting club.
Yeah.
No,
Knitting
there might be kids who want to learn, or crocheting.
Try to
maybe.
teach a kid
Okay.
knitting. I tried with my granddaughter and it was like,
How about that? Crocheting?
Do you have patience?
Right.
That's the first, right,
you
that's the
saw me
first bullet
cleaning
under
up that
that.
room.
I know, I would. You were great.
Okay.
I'll try to find it in that too, I'm striking that right now, but I feel like we might have had a refund policy.
For what? For who's that? We did. We
And
definitely
then we
should-
put one in here too.
Okay.
And I think one of the concerns with refunds too is with charge cards, there's a fee.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes.
They say no
put that
refunds.
somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
no
there's
refunds.
No
is,
refunds.
I put it
After.
on my rec.
Yeah.
No, where's the cell phone?
And I think those, the Y and something tree, I forget the name of it. Both of them did not, they had no refund policy, no
Yeah.
exceptions.
Yeah. And Leslie, I know, had given some feedback about like an administrative fee.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, and that's actually in there. So I'll send that to you as well, Nicole.
I know, I also.
Is there,
Oh, my God, if it's in the ratio somewhere.
yeah, I threw that in on a suggestion under the ensure a safe
Sounds
environment.
fun.
Sure.
Sounds fun. Yeah, volunteers. I'll volunteer.
We'll put you through the background check, you'll be fine.
I could, pass Sikorsky's, secret clearance.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you'll be all right.
I think,
You
yeah.
should be fine, you should pass.
But the
Colors.
Elks is performing a background check on me now, so we'll see. I haven't heard yet.
Who is
The Elks Club.
the Elks?
I'm joining the Elks. Yep.
Okay.
All right, good.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Good for you.
Oh, shit.
Okay. Anything? Oh, you know, what, under the dress code, if we're not doing t-shirt, take out that,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think I have it highlighted.
okay, yeah, that would be bold,
I have it highlighted.
okay.
Where's that listed Gen Jet dress code? Oh, I see. Never mind. I'm not looking with my eyes. Okay,
Oh, and under the sunscreen here, you can, that to be where the policy goes.
Yeah, I put it. I also.
oh, I like that. What to leave at home cell phones. I
Yeah.
like it.
Parents need to get a hold of them, they know to find them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On the agenda, is this like covering 4 and 5? Positive procedures and summer camp, or is this like,
I'm sorry, say that again?
for the agenda for tonight, is this like 4 and 5 kind of mesh together?
Hold on, where can I find it?
In the other two facilities that I
Yeah,
researched,
okay.
they also included as the parent, extra set of clothing.
Just in case. of-
Oh, yeah.
Accidents,
Or
yeah,
like if they like
Get
play in
wet.
water.
exactly. So extra set of,
Yeah.
shirt or shorts or something,
Mhm.
extra clothing.
So you should keep that for,
Right, like just in case.
just in case.
Yeah. Okay. Our next meeting is the end of May. I'm assuming you want this done by
Yeah, oh,
then,
yeah.
right, okay,
Well, the open house is 23rd.
right. So you
I
want,
was hoping to have it.
right, that makes sense. Okay,
Get out.
yeah,
So is the meeting the Wednesday after Memorial Day?
think so.
So,
Is it Carnival's that week too?
Yeah,
how was that? I was wondering.
Yes.
That's really-
Parade's on Monday.
We haven't ever really done that, well,
No,
not that we couldn't, we could, but we haven't typically. Yeah, our meeting is the 28th, yeah,
Okay,
so
because
Yeah.
the carnival is the
then-
Thursday,
yeah,
Friday and Saturday.
it is typically, yeah. But we can talk about adjusting if that's not a good night for you. Yeah, we could, yeah.
well, it's once a month, it's not.
I know, but I don't have any issue with that either. Okay, so do you want? When you finish updating it, do you want to email it to all of us and we can
Yeah.
provide feedback that way?
Yeah.
And then we'll send it to,
Then, yeah,
Then
you can send
Maria.
it to me or to.
Okay.
yeah.
I'm trying to
Um,
get it from the beginning of next, but by the. I'd like to have it done by Friday, but I know I have a pretty full day tomorrow.
correct, right, so even if you for the following Friday,
On Monday.
like we can. Yeah, we'll tell fine. Cause then if you have it done by the second and it goes to the attorney,
Right.
that gives him like 2 weeks of
He's
time,
usually in on Fridays, so,
right,
by next Friday, because he was in today.
Right.
Because we had conflicts this week.
and. With the hoops policies, Paula, we also brought the red line copy from Vin to Board of Selectmen. Is that gonna continue to be the process that like Board of Selectmen then also kind of like checks it off? I don't believe that's been their
No.
practice in the past.
yeah,
I
that's,
could do it as an informational,
Okay,
but not something that they have to approve. If the
Sure.
commission has worked with the director and we have had it vetted by
Right.
legal, I think we should be fine.
Yeah,
But
I
we can
think-
certainly give it to them as an FYI.
sure, okay, that works. That sounds perfect. Okay.
yes. Enough's enough.
the medication sunscreen. We're gonna provide the parent forms.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah,
You see that I have to make some adjustments to the back.
yeah, and just indicate here under each, please submit your signed form. Yeah,
I think that's in that checkbox too.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, just make it clear under here too, a little friendly reminder.
Right.
We're not gonna do anything unless we have signed forms.
Okay, anything else with the policies and procedures? For this? Okay.
And obviously, if you go through it again and you see something, just let me know. Or you think of something.
Right.
That we might have missed.
That sounds perfect. Okay, the next agenda item was just summer camp, just like an update, so registration went live on Tuesday morning. It seemed to function very smoothly, I used it as a parent and heard from a number of other parents who were like, yes, I registered. How does it look so far?
Well, I got very excited because the way my rec is, it says 122
'Cause it's by
registered.
week.
And I'm like, yes,
Right, yeah.
and then to finance and then burst my bubble. So
Is
it's
it by
like,
week?
it's like 10 kids per week right
Okay.
now. 10.
That's not bad. That's a short.
There's gonna be another one.
24 hours.
Actually didn't realize it was
Yeah.
live.
Yeah, on Tuesday,
Tuesday, okay.
I
just
think,
yesterday.
I have to find
My daughter-
out.
Oh, it was yesterday, okay.
Oh, yeah, I did it yesterday, yeah, I didn't mess around.
My daughter registered her for it, so that bumped your
Yes.
number.
Yeah, correct, yeah,
That's great.
So I'm
Yeah,
hoping
for
that,
24 hours, 10 kids is not bad.
No,
Jen was gonna see if the school would actually send paper out for us.
Okay.
oh, good.
Mhm.
So.
We have colored paper downstairs, we can make sure we get it
Yeah,
on colored.
plenty.
Ooh,
Oh,
Oh, there it goes.
Start flopping.
I
I saw a comedian doing.
Um. I don't know how BCS typically operates, like I know our school, as long as we get the copies.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
yeah,
that's what Jen said, so.
Yeah.
I know I had talked to, hey, and she didn't give me that option,
right,
but Jen's like, let me see if I.
right, I feel like they do a lot electronically, like in the weekly newsletter, you want, am I emailing that to the assistant principal, to put in the newsletter for Friday?
I emailed it over to them and they said they would take care of it.
Okay.
Hopefully.
To Kay or to
K and K forwarded to sheriff,
Jackie?
Or Jackie, might be Jackie.
Okay, okay.
whoever takes care of all that stuff.
Yeah, Jackie does the newsletter. So she had put it in like the last 2 weeks, so that like it was coming.
And they put it in the display.
Oh, good.
They
Okay,
did now? But
Today.
what's in there right now is,
Both of them are.
well, if we have if you have a color version of the notice,
yep,
we can give it to Lena and she can put it through the big
like
machine and
in a
enlarge it, and
poster?
we can put it in the pickup thing right out here.
Oh.
By Park and Rec.
We did it today.
Oh, you did it today? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
beautiful.
Okay.
Love that. Okay,
All right, I didn't realize, because I got there early. It's
yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
still the other one. so,
Nick
okay.
did it. Nick did
Oh,
it
okay,
for me.
Nick did it? Okay,
So,
That's
perfect,
great.
perfect.
Okay,
It's not exact, but it gets the right information.
right. Yeah, no, that's
And
fantastic.
lets people know.
And I was gonna say, we had shared previously on all the Facebook groups, but then Jen Casasso also posted it to a bunch of the.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
I don't know what other ways we can get it out, but
Yeah, I mean, that's
pretty much it.
how I do that. But then I think
Okay.
just like the reminders, and honestly, I mean, most people are gonna wait a little bit to, because they've waited this long, they're gonna wait. And then like sign up when they have 5 minutes.
Then you might get a
So-
real
You may get a bunch,
push all of a sudden.
right, you may get a bunch over the weekend.
People might wait to the open house to kind of see.
Yeah, right, that's a very good point as well. Okay, so that's great so far, yeah,
It's very good. Very good job.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mhm.
Before we dive into the OEC licensing. Can I get a motion to add, final Bethany hoops update to the agenda? I hadn't originally put it on because I don't know why, I just forgot.
Motion.
Beautiful. Can I have a second?
Second.
You can say.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor?
I,
Perfect. Okay, take it away, Craig.
All right, so a lot of this we've talked about multiple times, but just some successes from Bethany Hoops this year. We had over 100 players in the program from kindergarten through 6th grade. We added the girls program and they won the Orange Championship for the rec league. We had max capacity and it's a wait list for K1 and second to third. We had a perfect number of boys in the 4th through 6th grade, 4 teams of 10. And if anybody didn't see, the championship game ended on a buzzer beating.
That was so
That was awesome. That was like the coolest sporting event I've seen. Um,
Come on, the 13 to 11 girls game was a real nail biter.
That was-
too. Double overtime. Come on,
Wow.
you forgot it was double
Oh,
overtime.
yeah, that was anxiety inducing. We added the preseason coaches meeting, with the trainings. Dave provided the minor protection program. We added fingerprints at Troop I. The DCF mandated reporter training for all coaches, volunteers. We used Team Snap for communication and scheduling, which was, I thought, pretty efficient. We added an all-star challenge over February break because we didn't want to have games with a lot of kids away and everybody seemed to like that 3-point contest, dribbling contest, all that stuff. We had an end of season pizza party for the 4th through 6th grade groups. We added team sponsorships this year to kind of help defray the costs of shirts. We made a moderate profit. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I'm sure Leslie would be able to tell us. And we are scheduled to be marching in the Memorial Day Parade.
oh, cool.
Yeah. We had an evaluation survey that was sent out to all of the participants. Some areas of improvement we could look for next year. Is a better ratio ratio of players to coaches at the younger ages. Rather than relying on volunteers from parents, we'd like to maybe create another avenue for high school students. I know it's tough with the basketball team because they have games on the weekdays, but some other sort of paid coaches who are gonna be there consistently. We're looking to add multiple teams in the girls program. There were 14 girls on the team, so it was a bit hard to find playing time for everyone, but that was a good problem to have. A lot of people wanted more off-season clinics and opportunities to play, summer, spring break, after school, camp, whatever. People just want to play, which is awesome. More practices before the fourth through sixth grade games start. We only had a handful. And earlier practices. A lot of teams were practicing from 7:30 to 9 o'clock on
That's
school
late,
nights.
yeah.
That's tough for those kids. That's-
The tentative plan, and I've already reserved these gyms. We have the middle school Monday through Thursday and Saturdays. So we'll have the second and third grade do skills and drills on Monday nights, and then have adult pickup, which kind of adds to our adult offerings. Which would be free. And then have the fourth through sixth grade boys practice Tuesday and Wednesday, 6 to 7:30. The girls practice Thursday, 6 to 7:30, and then have all the games on Saturdays. The only problem with this plan is that the kindergarten and first is gonna be exclusively at BCS, and there's just really no spectator space. There's the stage, but that's really it, and those are the parents who were there the whole time, so we've got to kind of figure something out. And then the second and third would be on Wednesdays there, just scrimmaging. Rather than, it's $100 an hour to use the middle school on Saturday, so we're trying to limit that as much as we can. And then some other things, disseminate the policies and procedures upon registration, and then collect the player information forms before anything starts. For Bethwood, we have something called Sports Engine. I don't know if you've ever used that, Nicole, but it's like a clearinghouse, and I'm like getting emails now. They have to take abuse prevention training courses, they have to take a coaching education course, they have to do a background check. It's all in one place.
Yeah.
So just something like that that's online. I'd like to establish a written agreement with the Board of Ed and the Board of Selectmen, so that the Parks and Rec has right of first refusal or first priority for all top facilities, because we have such limited facilities. So rather than renting it out to out of town travel programs or anything like that, like we should have first rights. I'll put you onto this, obviously, Nicole, this is all
Right.
pending your approval and everything. Again, this is tentative. But I have talked to the Woodbridge Parks and Rec director about maybe kind of taking on their girls' team, and they would kind of take on the seventh and eighth grade rec program. Like that's in addition to the middle school teams. I talked about this with Nick. He was kind of getting a little burnt out because he would coach the middle school team, then come right to kindergarten first, come right to second and third, come right to fourth through sixth. So he was coaching like nonstop. So we would have coordinators for every level. So there'd be a K1 coordinator, second, third. So he wouldn't be having to, or whoever the program coordinator is, wouldn't have to be there at everything.
Right.
All right. And yeah, recruiting the Amity High School, if it's kids who need volunteer hours or whatever, but we'd have to figure out what sort of background checks and training that they would need. And it's, we've had kids like that in the past, but a lot of them literally like didn't even know if I said a bounce pass, they didn't know.
Right.
But then I want somebody
has
who has a
Yeah.
basketball
Kids learning
IQ.
the game, so
Right.
you need to have coaches
Yeah.
that know the game, yeah.
And then something that I know, like when I was growing up, we used to play against Bethany when I was in Estonia, so I'd like to get some sort of all-star team that could compete against other towns and try to
Cool. That would be
find.
great.
That'd be awesome.
So that's the last thing, and we'd have to get that going kind of early in the season so we could get set up with teams to play in tournaments or whatever, so. That's all tentative, but we're trying to take these suggestions we got in the evaluation survey and, put them into action, so.
Well done.
Yeah.
Such a short
Yeah,
period of
that
time
worked
to
really-
Did you
start
get a
this.
lot of good response with the surveys?
I would say overall, we probably had like 30 responses out of the 100 participants. but most of it was good. They all thought it was a good value. The one of the like rooms for improvement somebody mentioned, which I was like miffed at, is that they said the parity could be improved for the 4th through 6th grade boys, but we had one team was 5 and 3, 2 teams were 4 and 4, and one team was 3 and 5. You can't get more.
Parity than that.
We were 3 points away from all 4 teams being 4 and 4, so
Right, that's pretty.
I think we did a good job
Pretty-
drafting, and that's how
right.
we do it. We just get together as coaches,
Mhm.
evaluate and then draft.
It's
And
right.
Yeah,
The way
excellent
the
job.
championship game ended. it's
Yeah,
the luck of the shot.
exactly,
It's
yeah.
The luck of the shot.
Right.
Yeah, so. Yeah, a lot of good responses though. Everybody seemed very, very happy
Well,
and
it got a very positive response when it went up to start. I mean, people were thrilled that it was gonna happen. So,
yeah, like I said, we were over capacity, so.
Yeah.
Right. that's-
Was there any videos taken?
Yeah, I do have one of the, I have one of the,
Cause I was
final
like,
shot.
put on the Park and Rec
Oh,
Do you
yeah,
have
website.
a shot of the basket actually being made?
it's,
Or
you can
is it
see
the
him
one from
taking
the-
it and then like,
It
everybody just
disappears
goes
off
nuts.
the-
Yeah. You don't see it going, it doesn't go into, yeah. you don't see it
Starts
going.
yelling, right.
That'd just be cool highlight in the Park and Rec webpage.
And actually it was
Website.
taken by a parent of
Of the
somebody on
losing
on the
team,
losing
yeah.
team.
Right. They deleted it.
Exactly. They're not gonna share.
But I was like, so surprised that not everybody had that, like, I was doing the score books, otherwise I would have had my phone, like, it's like, ah, something cool
Right.
could happen.
Yeah.
And only one person in the whole gym had their phone, so
Really?
everybody was locked in, it was like they're at the Masters.
Okay.
That's good.
That's great though.
Magic Johnson
All right, so we
game.
tentatively have booked the middle school and BCS.
Well, no, those are booked, I'm
Oh,
just
those are
saying,
booked.
those are the tentative plans for how we're gonna utilize those
Right, but
nights.
that's good to know that we have them booked because it was like by a win and a
I
prayer,
have
we
it.
got the spaces this
I
year.
had to beg,
Yeah.
Yeah,
beg to use the middle school this year.
right. So that's good that we have it booked already for next year.
That's, I applaud you because everything was just so quick notice. I mean, for you to execute this, I thought it's bravo to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was very well done.
Yeah.
Very well done.
I love that.
And the suggestions for next year are great too.
Yeah,
Jumpstart.
Yeah.
Thank you for that update.
Because I know it said camps, like my daughter has, her kids signed up for different basketball camps. So if that's something that can be done here in
Yeah,
town, makes a big difference than having to cart them to Southern and wherever, you know.
Notre Dame.
Yeah,
Yeah, so if
Yeah.
we could have some of those, yeah.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just gotta find the
volleyball, I know
right
they do
person.
volleyball, you know, down at the center. People
Right.
sign up for
Yeah,
the thing down there.
Correct,
So-
right. Yeah. For future planning, right, it'll be
Yeah.
great.
I know I could get,
Rich. What, the dribble drive?
Yeah,
Rich Kelly,
Ellie. What's his first name?
not Rich?
No, oh, his son might be right,
Oh, okay.
yeah. I could definitely get into that.
Right.
But maybe even Nick could just. For a week, right
Yeah.
before camp starts, that week that we don't have anything,
Ooh,
Mhm.
and do a basketball clinic,
Right, even if you did half days,
yeah.
right, someday.
that would
Think
be cool.
about, see how far we get
Yeah.
with everything else. But it's a great idea. Okay.
She said, thanks for all the work on hoops.
Oh, thanks, Emily.
It was great as.
Yeah, you did a great job.
get well, Emily. We miss you.
Yeah, it was just, it was nice to have something too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was
I love
fantastic.
It was huge, yeah.
That's through, that Bethany girls game was like Vibe City and like the
I
whole
heard.
town came together. Poor Orange, we were like,
I heard
they
that.
felt the whole wrath of all of Bethany, like
Right.
I
just
think
poor.
I think we
kid,
took
like,
up
yeah.
2/3 of the gym. I
Oh,
think
more
Bethany
than that,
literally took
yeah.
up
Yeah.
most of the gym. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I think the funniest line though was Craig at the game looking at his watch going, I think the boys are gonna start late today because it was going
We
into.
did,
double
we started
overtime.
late, right? What are you gonna do?
The boys were there. I think the boys were
Yeah.
at the game.
Okay. The next one is just the OEC licensing. That delightful document. I don't think that anybody put any notes on the question document. I don't know if that's just because nobody had any questions and everybody felt like it was good. Um. I mean, it's gonna obviously take some time to get there. Aw. Um. So I don't know,
So I talked to Valerie, she called me yesterday.
yeah,
She said she was talking to you.
she might have been talking to Emily,
Valerie
maybe. I don't think I talked to somebody named Val.
from recognition.
Oh,
Committee.
yes,
So
sorry,
she called me yesterday and she pretty much was like, there is no camp or after school that has OEC licensing.
we will be,
And she like advised against it.
yeah, they're very much against it.
Yes.
So I want to be clear, is this gonna change anything as far as pricing because we're doing this? Because if we're the only ones doing it,
Mm.
you know, that's one of my big things with it is I don't want to see the pricing going up. If it's like $10 for something, that's fine, but if we're gonna start jacking the prices up to have a licensing thing that we're not required to do and the town's already voted on it,
Mm.
I think that's, you know, gonna be a different story.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it if there's no cost.
Nothing in, the only cost associated with OEC licensing, like legitimate cost, is the cost for actual license, and I think it's, I can't remember, if it's $300 or $500.
Again, that's
So it's
minimal,
negligible.
but I'm saying
It
as
would
far
just be
as.
whether or not there were like things that we didn't pass licensing on that required,
Mhm.
like.
And it would also be the
updates and
staff training. I mean, just that one 5-hour course.
Right.
that They would have to take, everyone would have to take,
things. Mhm.
and there's a lot of training involved.
Yeah, there is a decent amount of training involved.
And I mean, the overall, like, I'm not talking about one-time fees, you know, because a lot of that stuff is gonna be maintenance from the town, you know, if we have to,
Right,
whatever it
which
is, we have to
upgrades
fix
the
things.
facility
What
itself.
I'm referring to is, are we gonna pass these costs on in our programs indirectly? All these other things, more than, you know, we've already talked about the ratios, we already figured that out for
Right.
things. But you know, any other things that we're not foreseeing here, you know, okay, hey, you know, we've talked about the nurse, but any of the other positions that we require for this, do we now have to jack the cost up to have these additional positions? Because that's a
I'd say
big,
yes, right? Because, I mean, how else are you gonna pay for those positions?
well, you know, some of them, I guess, could be, you know, we talked about how we could do it without, but you know, that's gonna be where, honestly, I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna be against it if we're gonna jack the cost up to
Emily
have
just-
something that's not required.
Emily just put up a post, maintaining a license doesn't cost any money ongoing, it's just the cost of upkeep of those regulations, like maintaining the building, maintaining ratios, et cetera. There aren't paid positions required by license.
Correct.
Okay, so if we don't have to pay anyway, I'm fine with it. It's just I wanna make sure we're not gonna pass these costs on to
What
anybody else in
is,
the
I
I
don't
town.
think
mean,
anybody wants to
if every other municipality is so pretty firmly against it, then there's gotta be a reason.
Yeah, what's the
Yeah.
rationale, right?
There are requirements to have consultants on board, those could be
Uh.
free, or we could hire a consultant.
Right,
It's
there's an
really her message.
educational consultant that's
Right,
required.
that's right.
There's a
Correct.
few different
Yeah.
consultants.
Mhm.
That's one that's.
But the nursing consultants, the nursing consultants, what's very expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unless we could kind of tap into resources, right, like I wonder if we could use, right, the school nurses.
So that's what I'm saying. So these things are costs that we're gonna have. We're gonna have to have these positions and
So you
there's-
don't, it doesn't have to be a paid position, that's the thing, right, it's a consultant, so I think it depends, I mean, I think it makes sense, A, for everybody to actually read the document. And to make note of all of the pieces and components of it, so that we're making informed decisions.
well, I think it's the reading these consultants that like I have, and that's the thing is reading it, I'm reading it as, well, if we're gonna have these consultants,
Right.
I don't know
So
who we
those-
would get to do it for free.
So we might get somebody to do it for free. I honestly offered to apply for the educational consultant piece.
Right, I remember we
It's,
talked
super
about that.
easy to do. And then I think, right, like the intent of tonight's meeting was to have listed out any of the questions that we have about the document, so that then we can kind of start the idea of looking into it. and seeing what exactly it would entail if we were to pursue it.
So that would be definitely my question that I want to bring up for tonight is, hey, let's figure out what these positions would actually, if we can magically get somebody to do them for free, I think that's fantastic.
So I'll say what additional positions would be required.
And cost
And what-
associated
what
with it,
cost?
because, again, if somehow we have a person who's capable of taking these on or volunteers, like if there's the nursing position, somebody meets the requirements, we have a resident who's, hey, I'll just do it for free, fantastic, it's a voluntary thing, but, that's where I could say right now, I'll be a no, if we're gonna start saying we're gonna have all these additional costs, and we're gonna be the only one like in the state that has this,
Yeah,
The biggest expense is the nurse, because the paperwork in the beginning, especially, she has to legit go through it as
Right.
every single
Mhm.
physical form. If it's not right, then have to get back the parents, then she has to come back and check it, and that's the biggest expense, and then the training for
Yeah.
the staff.
I don't think you'll
Those are
find
the two
someone to
expenses.
volunteer.
I
for-
couldn't
for-
imagine
for
that.
Something like that.
Remember that we do have a nurse that we're paying for the whole summer.
Right,
Yeah.
but that has to be all done before.
Correct, right,
You
initially,
can't.
yeah,
yeah.
this is for the after-school program, correct? Or applies to summer camp?
So if we pursued licensing, it would ultimately cover both. It could
Okay,
ultimately cover
because
both.
I'm just
So
coming to a
that said
section
it
and it
would
mentions about providing meals.
No, Emily had talked to like somebody at the state, that there is one that would cover both.
Valerie
A
said-
particular license?
Valerie
Yeah.
said it would not.
Because there's a youth camp license.
Yeah.
Nurse
So that's-
consultant
that's-
has to
so
visit
it's the
once a
same-
month,
It's the same
Nurse
group, but
consultant has
it's
to visit
two,
once per month.
has to visit once a month.
so there is,
Yeah,
it's the same
right. Yeah.
OEC, but there's two separate
Once a month.
licenses.
Yeah.
Oh, she said I can review medical paperwork, I understand what's required, those are Emily's.
Right.
Right there.
Yes, there are, right. There's the two, like, there's the youth camp and then there's like the daycare or
Daycare,
something like
That's one
that.
of her quotes.
But when Emily talked to somebody, one of the consultants at the state, they said that you could do like the daycare one and then just extend it to.
Oh, she also said here, I have 3 free consultants and 1 paid à la carte, as in only pay her if we ask her to come do a training. Nurse consultant, right, only one with an ongoing cost.
Emily,
Right,
do we
as
need to
opposed to-
provide food service?
I think we figured that one out, that was a no, I thought we talked about that once before.
And maybe,
I think we determined.
Right.
Because it specifies
Because we're
here.
not a daycare, we're,
correct,
Yeah,
yeah, we
you're
talked
not
about that food thing last time.
Yeah, I
That would
just want to
not
make
be
sure,
enough.
because here's all the requirements, and
Right,
we gotta either put check in the box or no, so.
okay, so here's
There's
my
something else.
licensing
There's also
contact said we
something on the
could
legislation
apply for a
now.
license under
No.
child. care.
yeah, because.
Emily's, this is Emily's response.
Yeah, Emily gave
Yeah,
another
let's see what
response.
happens.
My licensing contact said we could apply for a license under childcare facility and then adjust our scheduled hours for the summer.
Mhm.
So maybe that's the different license.
So that's the one, and then you change the hours.
Yeah,
Is
that's
what
what
she's
she
saying we
said, that
can
you
do.
wouldn't have to apply for both, you could do one or
We
the
just
other,
change the hours,
yeah.
adjust the
Right.
hours. No, there are regs of what we do provide. There are regs of. We
If
do
we do,
provide,
if
if we do
okay.
provide food and regs for, oh, she correct herself. And regs for how we manage food that parents sent in refrigerated or an ice pack, with ice pack.
Right, which like that was already something that was in the policy in the past, yeah, that's a good one, yeah, about the fact that like the kids' lunches had to come. on
Yeah.
ice because there wasn't a refrigerator available, so that is actually a good one to put in.
And we meet the minimum 35 square feet per child, so that annex will. Right? The requirement,
that's
the
something
pro
we have to look
in
into.
space, yes,
That's-
because I think that's what I brought up last
So
time.
that we would have to look at that
Yeah.
for number of kids that then we would be licensed
Exactly.
for.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I see why people shine, other organizations are shying away from being
Yeah, I-
licensed because
Mhm.
35 square feet
Mhm.
per child, I mean.
It's also the extra oversight, right? So theoretically, it's a little bit more work because it's the extra
Mhm.
oversight,
Yeah,
but,
and we have to
but
make
it's
sure
also the
we,
extra protection of the extra oversight.
yeah.
Yeah, but a lot
But
of
we
those
have to
things,
make
for the
sure
extra
we meet these
protection,
requirements.
we-
though,
we-
once we start.
we've dealt with what were required, that we're missing. We know what they were. We've talked about that at
I don't
length.
disagree.
Yeah.
I think the big thing here is, are we gonna have to start jacking prices up for this. And that's where we're still kind of vague, you know, how we're really gonna
Right,
do
well, because
this.
we're not at the point of applying, right? We're at the
Yeah.
point of like,
So that's, I mean, that's.
Researching.
That's what we're researching. I think that's
Right.
gonna be an important thing for me personally, is like,
Yeah.
hey, are we gonna raise pricing
I think we
to
all
have
got that.
this?
And I
Yeah.
think you need to allow adequate time to research it.
Oh, 100%,
appropriately,
correct. And the nice thing is, right, like, we no longer have that like hard stop of fall because we
Right.
passed
Mhm.
with the town, so, you know, we don't have to have it in place for fall to open. We can be in the exploratory stages still at that
Mhm.
point,
Mhm.
and it won't prevent anything from happening.
I could say from
Which is good.
the professionals that I met with yesterday that do not have the licensings, but they all follow.
Right.
Right.
Like to the
Correct.
T, like there's no messing around. with these
Emily
guys.
has
And that's
another
how-
comment.
But that's, I mean,
100%.
They literally tell us how many children each room is licensed for. They'll come with their measuring tape to the initial licensing visit.
So
this
you don't wanna
bill
limit.
That was, and Valerie, Missy, I don't know if you talked to Missy did you talk to her from,
No, she-
Monroe?
I called her a few times, she hasn't called me back,
Oh,
but she
okay.
said she'll see me tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, so like she had called me on behalf of Valerie when that bill went through, and like these municipalities are very like much, like you said, like shying away from the.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And I don't want you to have to go to these meetings and like be an outcast because we're like, you know, the scabs of the whole, like, we're setting a precedent, like, you know, because everybody's been really helpful, like, everybody I've reached out
They've been
to,
lovely,
like,
right.
everybody who's,
yeah.
has
I
been
mean,
great,
it's-
like, we don't wanna like burn those bridges,
Right.
you know?
The second I hung up the phone
Right.
with, I got off the Zoom meeting with she called me and she's like,
Right,
you know, pretty much like,
right.
don't do it.
be careful.
What
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
so what are the reasons that they gave you for the no, like why they don't want it? So again, we've talked about all the wonderful reasons why we think we want it.
Mhm.
I'm interested in what's kind of been the overall why the other park and rec departments are really adamant they don't want it. There has to be a reason other than, oh, it's a little bit of a headache to do it. There has to be some real reasons that they expressed as far as what their concerns are. And I think that'd be real important to,
Yeah, I
Rest in
can
that.
ask Valerie tomorrow.
if you could, I
Well,
mean, I
I
think
mean,
it'd be
one thing
They
is
would be
state
restricted to a
exempts.
lot of items.
exempt, but I
you
mean,
have
you
to
know, if
meet
it was,
Certain criterias here and.
Well, there was
you
also
could
a
only have
concern
Certain
that
number of kids.
the bill originally had excluded 16 and 17-year-olds from like being counselors and
that's-
CITs and
yeah.
everything, and that's what William Monroe was like, that's half my summer staff. I'm
Mhm.
like,
And then.
Well, there you
includes
go,
the
yeah.
expense-
and then if they
Mhm.
start taking
Older-
that sort of thing,
Right,
yeah.
older staff,
Mhm.
correct.
but they changed that. That's not a requirement currently, right?
Not on the current
No,
bill, but
they're
it could be
trying
next
to
year,
find
yeah.
something.
Right,
Yeah.
So that, she said she's gonna keep us updated if we have to like go and talk to our legislators or whatever.
Mhm.
yes,
There's also a new rule. And they're trying to find a way around it with a waiver. That you have to give the staff a half an hour break, like it can't be sitting and eating with the kids.
I'm not at all surprised by that because that legislation passed, I think, 2 years ago for schools. Where every employee has to have a 30-minute lunch.
So then
they
you have to
said
figure
that-
out how to alternate your staff
Correct.
with your groups, or you have to hire extra
Right,
in order
whatever
to
lunches.
cover.
Cover
Right.
that.
Which based off of just our ratio plans for summer, we should be fine with.
Well, depending on how many you get.
Well, right, but if we were like kind of running at that.
Right.
Right. But that doesn't surprise me that that's coming. Just cause like in the schools, that was not typically kids have a 25-minute lunch and staff would have a 25-minute lunch at that time. But then the state required a 30-minute lunch.
But don't you have like paras or aides in the cafeteria with the kids while they're having their lunch?
No, so they have to have a 30-minute lunch on their own now. Everybody, every school staff employee, and it supersedes contract. So even if the contract language says a 25-minute duty-free lunch, the state law like supersedes that.
Oh, kids that 5-hour lunch,
Okay.
and they'll eat for 10 minutes.
Correct,
and then
right.
why? Wow, for 20.
Yeah,
There were several camps also that said that they are struggling to get campers, so that's, it's making me nervous.
We're struggling to get campers?
Yeah, yeah.
Emily had a question. Isn't that a basic employment law rule?
I think for the
And then
lunches,
anyone who works over 7 hours.
So it wasn't.
right, it is.
Well, yeah, for years, that's how you did it.
I'm surprised like they're having a hard time getting campers.
There was a few towns
Huh.
that said they were struggling.
Oh,
or just a lot of
But
late
there were,
registrations.
there were a lot of towns that said they were full, so,
Right,
but I was shocked to hear that certain towns are struggling.
right. I wonder if it has more to do with like the quality of the program.
It could be.
I
Or
don't know.
people just wait till the last minute to register.
Right, yeah, that is surprising.
Yeah, so. If they work more than 7.5 hours, so we might just have to make them work 7.25 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because Emily put it for anyone who works over 7 hours, yeah, so that'd be 7.2
Right,
or 7.5, yeah.
right.
There we go again.
There we go again.
Start laughing.
I get my exercise in just not enough to turn on the light, so it's okay.
Okay, so as far as the OEC piece goes. I think like we can leave it for next month's agenda again. Again, I would just encourage everybody to like read it and note any questions on here so that we can really have a comprehensive list of all of our questions and concerns. So that we can start to dig into those, so that we have informed answers about it. This isn't like, hey, we're gonna fill out this application tomorrow. This is let's all understand this.
Mhm.
And what are the pros and what are the cons? And then Nicole can bring us some information from the directors meeting to answer your question, Dave, because I think that's a really good one. About like, why are they so against it, right? Like, what are they worried about as being the pitfalls that maybe are things we're not thinking about?
Can we actually get the square footage also of the area, so
Yeah, I mean.
we could, I mean, and
Right,
determine the impact, if it's 35 square feet per child,
right,
does that limit us to 10 children, and that's it, that, you know, so we have to understand that also.
Yeah.
The area
Yeah,
that
so
we're
that's a good
working
point.
with.
So I think we have some
Gotta
good
move
points
into
that we need
town
to
hall.
research, that we can research now
Mm-hmm.
for the
And
next
that's
meeting.
Really, right, like that's really
Yeah.
the intent of this, like, let's
Because-
think about all the questions and concerns.
Maybe
that we have.
Don, what's his name, Don?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe he could get us the square footage for that, for the
For the
rooms.
annex building.
I think he already did it,
Yeah.
but I don't.
I feel
know-
like we could almost do the math real quick.
I know, but the issue is you have to also include tables and chairs.
That's right.
Mhm.
So
Oh, yeah.
we
Oh.
don't really have anything in there right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's like in this room, if you look at that
Right, they're
maximum
standing room only.
occupancy, it's like if you're standing, you have this many, if there's chairs, you have this many.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
each room has a different occupancy.
Yeah, so we need to determine that.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
Cause what was the forecast for the number of children, Jen? What were you forecasting, 100?
So we had based our original numbers off of 100, but then we were told at some meeting that it could only be 75.
Okay, so 75, so we need to,
Was that with the age group? Was that,
It's,
Was that for the younger
the
kids?
issue is the bathrooms.
oh my goodness.
That's where it was. Is that why we
The
came up with
issue was
75?
the bathroom. I think it was also the occupancy of the rooms, like the,
Those bathrooms need to be
but you
redone.
also have, you have the downstairs community room and you have the gym, so you can be rotating kids.
yeah,
And then you have outside, if it's a beautiful day, obviously, you're gonna be
Right.
outside.
right.
Yeah, so we need to determine what we're working with here.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it fair to just kind of say if everybody could list, I shared the document with everybody. So if people just add on any questions that they have. And then we can leave it on our next agenda
Okay.
as well.
Just
So
so,
we want the questions emailed to you?
Nope, I shared a document, so just
Okay.
drop them right in the doc, that would be great.
Was that recent, Jen? Cause I lost all my
Um,
emails.
Yeah, relatively.
Yeah.
Maybe Monday, I actually showed the document,
Yes. you
right?
did.
I think it was, yeah,
last year.
I think it was part of like the meeting agenda and the
sure.
minutes and stuff, yeah. Cause I think Emily had asked me too, she was like, did you create that after the April 3rd meeting? And I was like, no, I don't think I did, I think I forgot. So yeah, it was just Monday.
Find the link here. I got it. Okay, excellent. Thank you. I do have it.
You looking for something for us?
yeah,
Okay. Is it related to OEC stuff or is it a different topic?
no,
Okay.
it's for camp.
Okay.
It's, we can keep going.
Can I, can I get a motion to make another amendment to our agenda tonight to actually go into executive session? Just to talk a little bit about the youth recreation program manager think that's what we're calling it,
Mhm.
position. Just to provide everybody just with like a brief update about that process, because I think that might be a little bit unknown to everybody, but so that we can also potentially talk about applicants and names.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest, because even if I put this on pause, I don't know who's watching
Right,
on YouTube.
yep.
So, I can turn the camera and the, the microphone off, obviously, and pause
Yeah.
the tape, but I would feel more comfortable with the security of your conversation
Yeah,
being away from the computer, so.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
that
Just
sounds good.
one question I have, are we allowed to do it on an agenda since we didn't have an executive session listed?
It's
Is
a
it okay
regular
for a
meeting, so
minute?
we're allowed to.
Okay, gotcha. That's where I was
Yeah,
confused about.
that's,
Yeah.
that's the one good thing about the regular. meeting
My
versus
question is, if
special.
you're going to have Emily, you may want to put her on your phone.
Emily, are you okay if I call you from, I'll call you from the other room? You don't even have to respond, I'll just try to call you and hopefully you'll answer. Okay, can I get a motion?
Are you inviting me, or can I go in my office and do whatever? Because I'm
Um,
the only outsider at this moment in time.
yes,
that I
let's
know.
keep you out of it, because I
That's
don't know if
fine.
the candidates will come to you ultimately.
That's fine, that's
Um,
fine.
but we'll get you when we come back.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll be in my office.
can I get a motion to amend the agenda and add that item?
So,
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, and then can I get a motion to go into
You
executive
second.
session?
Motion to go in executive session.
Beautiful, second,
second,
all in favor?
aye.
Perfect, motion carries, okay.
Okay, I will pause the recording. Because I can resume the recording, so we've
Right.
stopped it, and I'm going to
back on. We are back on audio, and then I'm going to hit record.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Okay, so it is 9:05 and we are back out of executive
Wait, we're
session.
muted here.
No, we should not be. I'm trying to get it to. There we go. Okay, no, 'cause
So we're out of exec session. There's no action on anything from exec session. So the only thing left on our agenda is to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
No, 9:06.
Beautiful, we are adjourned.
All right, I'm stopping the recording again. Yes. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. See if I can get home before the boys go to sleep.
Right.